Second segment, we are going to look at the return forms and the templates for pay as you earn. We are going to look at the pay as you earn form, the different schedules, and the templates. Before I start the discussion, let us first of all download our PAYE return. On your screen is the URA portal, www.ura.go.ug/en. Now this is the new enhanced website or portal of URA. You'll see a difference between what we've been having and what we have now. So what you do, you just come down here under file a return. So you can see everything has been simplified. So you click on file a return. So when I click on file a return, I'm going to be redirected to another page with several returns that I can use to file. On the same page, you're going to find a couple of frequently asked questions, like who is required to file a return, when is the return supposed to be filed, what can I do if I'm running out of time, and so on. So these are some of the frequently asked questions, and as you can see, URA has tried to answer these questions. So we move here where my cursor is, download online return forms. So when I click on this, there's going to be a display, or they're going to redirect me to another page where there is a list or a table listing the different forms and templates for e-return. So these are the various returns, these are the various templates that can be used to file returns for different taxes. Now our payee return is our DT 2008, as it has been before. They have maintained the number, so that is DT 2008. But you come to the second column, okay, the DT 2008 of the second column is the one that we are going to use. The one in the first column has instructions, so you cannot use it. So you come here, click on this. DT is for domestic tax, and then you're going to see that the return has been downloaded on your computer. For my case, it is right here. I can just click on this and then I'll be taken to where it has been downloaded. So I can double click on this. When I double click on this, outrightly I'm going to have my return open in Excel. Of course, I know all computers have MS Excel or Office, and definitely you'll be able to get your return opening. So this is the return that we are going to use, and this is the return that we are going to discuss throughout this segment of our training. So you can pause the video and of course download your own return, because you need this to be able to conclude our assignment easily. Our return here can change anytime. It can change anytime, but for now, as per this training, as per the time of this training, this is how the return looks like. It has a sheet which captures errors in case you've made errors. The errors are going to be registered here and you can troubleshoot. Then we have the return details. When you're filing the return, you need to include the TIN number of the company. You need to specify the return period from date and to date. For our activity, we are filing between 1st of January 2023 and 31st of December, and 31st of January. So that is 1 month, because as you have seen in the presentation, we are supposed to file on a monthly basis. Then we have section A, B to C, where section A requires the person filing to include the details of the employer. Now, the details of employer in the sense of individual, non-individual. Are you filing for individual? Are you filing for non-individual? Non-individual is company, partnership, and all the other forms of business that we were able to see in our first presentation. Individual is where the person is running the business as a sole proprietor. For the part of the bank, you can include the bank, but I usually don't encourage you to put the bank because I don't know how they design the system. When you include maybe Centenary Bank, it will require you to strictly go to Centenary Bank. So you may find the system is down in Centenary, and yet you can even use DFCU. So these ones you would leave them blank since they are not mandatory. What is mandatory is the type of employment under Section A, Part 3, type of employment. Now there are only two types of employment under our return: civil service and others. Civil service is where you're filing for maybe like government ministry, whereas others is where we fall, all private entities fall under others. So you select that. There's a drop down arrow that you click on and select the choice or the option. That is section A, which is the details of the employer. Now section B captures the filing status, and there is only one field for you to fill, which is the type of return. As I've mentioned, you may find that there are more than this later if an amendment is done, but for now, at the time of this training, there is only one type of there is only one field, which is type of return. Now the types of return are basically two. We have the original and amended. Original is where you're filing for the very first time, those nature of transactions. And then amended is where you're filing the second time or third time or fourth time, having received more information. You may find that an employee was omitted, or you forgot to include something, or you put a wrong gross salary or allowance. You can go back and amend. You can always go back and amend. So the amendment is done under section B, filing status. Again, there's a drop down arrow that allows you to click and be able to see the different choices. So you can choose between original and amended. Then we have section C, which gives a summary of the tax assessed, the number of employees, the total income, the categories of employees, the rate, chargeable income, and the total tax payable. This section, section C, is auto populated. There is nothing you can do about it. There are formulas there, and the return will do its magic basing on what you have input in Schedule 1, Schedule 2, Schedule 3, and Schedule 4. Next to that is Schedule number 1. Under Schedule number 1, you're required to input the TIN of the employer, the TIN of the employee, the name of the employee, the date from and the date to, the basic salary, housing, benefits, allowances, as we discussed last time. Again, this is their design. You can have your own design because your payroll is designed in another way. But in most cases, when we are designing working papers, we try as much as possible to reflect what is on the return so that we can easily transfer information from our payroll or our records to the return. So Schedule number 1, you're supposed to furnish details of salary paid and the pay deducted from your employees. Ideally, information that is going to be furnished in Schedule 1 is information coming from your payroll. I was able to complete our payroll. I was able to, actually it's not me who completed, it's a student who submitted a copy of what they felt was supposed to be in the payroll for the assignment I shared with you. So as you can see, Schedule 1 is almost a mirror image of our payroll here. We have tried as much as possible to reflect the fields in Schedule number 1 of the pay return. That eases the process of transferring information from a payroll to Schedule number 1. Again, that will ease work of explaining to URA officers in the event that they visit your enterprise to have a tax discussion with you or to have a detailed tax audit. There you'll be speaking the same language in terms of the payments, allowances, benefits in kind, and if there are any other explanations, you ensure that you maintain schedules that can be referenced to your payroll. As you can see, I have Schedule 1, Schedule 2, Schedule 3. All these schedules are part of the wider payroll, and in these schedules I explain what each employee is earning, okay, and the totals, which are later transferred to the payroll. So I'll be sharing with you this. You compare with what you have. I know you may have been busy, or you may have something. We may not discuss payroll by payroll, but look at what I received from this student. I try to edit here and there to make it better. So you'll compare this with yours, and then you'll submit to me so that I can finally give comments on your payroll. That is going to be the same thing for the return. You'll come to Schedule 1 and populate it with information. You can copy and paste, it's okay, as long as you paste properly. Though we are not required to, we are not allowed to paste. But if you have 1,000 employees, how can you do it? You copy smartly and paste. So you copy and paste your information in Schedule 1 and confirm to this return. When you look at the output, you see that at the end of the activity, the student was able to get totals down. So again, you look at the totals just below here, your totals, and then see that you have at least something down. The formula should be able to calculate so that you get the totals. Then Schedule 2 is to help the person filing or the employer to furnish to the taxing authority details of payments of tax to Uganda Revenue Authority. Under this schedule, tell the taxing authority which payee you deducted, the amount you paid off that payee, the check number, payment registration number, the bank name, and the payment date. For instance, some smart employers do not want to wait for the end of the month. They pay half month salary. Typical the commercial banks. Commercial banks usually pay on the 15th and at the end of the month. So if you have made a payment, an advance payment, not even advance, a payment, someone has worked halfway the month and you give them their payment, you can file and pay. So that at the end of the month, you say, look here, I actually deducted 2 million from my employee, 2 million, from my employee or employees. Of that 2 million, I paid 1 million. It was check 001. Payment registration 1023, those numbers they give you. The bank was DFCU Bank. The payment was made on such and such a date. Actually, here they are banks. The banks are here. You can say Bank of Africa. We paid through Bank of Africa. We paid on the 15th of, let's say, January. We are talking about January 2023. So with this information, the taxman will be able to appreciate that, oh, okay, you try to manage your taxes and you try to pay ahead, or you paid half month. These are the payments. So they will have this information. Schedule 3 is to help the person filing or the employer to declare or furnish information regarding lump sum payments. Lump sum payments in form of termination, if you have any terminations in the month, retirement, some people are retiring, resignation, some people have resigned and need to pay, you do lump sum, expiry of employment. This happens, it's normal. People are terminated, people resign, people retire. So that information is supposed to be furnished in Schedule 3. You indicate the TIN of the employee who has been terminated or resigned, the name, the time they started, ended, the due date, the lump sum payment is supposed to be made, number of completed months, gross sum, and so on. So this one we shall not do it now. We shall do it later after perfecting the PAYE. We shall be doing this. And I think in our activity we have that one line there. We shall do it later, but what I want is Schedule 1. Schedule 4 of our return is to help the employer or the person filing furnish information in regard to annual irregular bonus payments, especially the bonus or a handshake. You heard of the handshake. There's a time there's a company which received a handshake. Handshake payment. A handshake is not expected, and it cannot be in the appointment letter that from time to time we'll be getting a handshake payment. That one just comes assuming your team does a very good job, they secure a good contract, you can give them a handshake. The taxman is saying, please inform me whenever there is a handshake. Please tell me. So how are you going to tell the taxman? Under Schedule 4, you declare that I was very excited, my employees made me very happy, and I gave them an irregular payment, a handshake, a bonus. So in those circumstances, you need to come and tell the taxing authority the TIN number of whoever received the handshake, the name of the person who received the handshake, the date, and so on. So these, we may not go into them, okay? But this is an indication that you can actually declare. In case of any other information which is technical in terms of the return, the return is built on Excel. So if you have any issues with macros and the type of your MS Excel, you can come and read further in the last sheet on the return. Otherwise, after you have confirmed that everything is okay, come under Schedule 4. Below Schedule 4, you'll find two buttons. One is to help you add rows, another one is for validation. Validation is to combine, is to seal this return so that you can share it with URA. So when you click on validate, I've just clicked here under Schedule 4, validate, just here. You'll be able to see whether your return has errors or not. But if you have done it correctly, it shouldn't have any errors. And then you'll be prompted to generate an upload file. Do you want to generate? Then you say yes. So if you click on yes, automatically an upload file is going to be generated, and you can store it anywhere you want. And this file, of course, you cannot use it the upload file can only be read by the URA system. I'll be sharing what goes on next in the I have a session that I recorded, because now where we are going is a live environment. You need to log in, you need to send the upload file. It is quite easy, it's not complicated. I'll be sharing that video together with this one here so that you can see the further steps. But beyond this, basically the rest is URA's work to either accept your return or reject it. If they accept it, then you proceed to make a payment. As per our activity and as per the student's submission, as I've mentioned, this was submitted by a student. You're also going to submit yours. This company is supposed to pay a tax of 10,428. That is according to section ABC, sheet ABC. Under section C, summary sheet, you can see the tax liability of this company.